these notebooks.
Yes, the notebooks I bought.
The notebooks that Sean bought have cool
people's
things on it. And Bridget drew Be the Great White,
really
which you
nice.
may recognize from our last episode.
But only in one language.
Yeah. So that's... Maybe think about that next time, Bridget. Maybe think about that. Maybe think about the other languages. But
it is. It's good. I like it.
You know, the thing about the light bulb is that it was such a great idea, it became the symbol for great ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just Google it.
So on this episode, we're kind of trying to focus on writing.
Yes.
I have a plethora of writings. We talked about some of it on the last episode. I'm going to give Sean some background on it for the next.
Piles of writing.
Yeah, tons of it. My
and
mom
good handwriting.
kept all of it. Yeah. So
did you not?
Mom? Did you not have good handwriting?
No, I didn't. Yeah,
I still don't.
I still don't. Yeah. If you were at a TED meeting with me and I'm writing notes on the board,
oh my God,
nobody can understand what I'm
it's
writing.
Like it's chicken scratch.
It is, but I understand it. I tell people I write PhD. Yeah, that's my excuse.
I think. Well, I mean, you are a doctor, so I think that's
right.
Fair.
So I have an excuse to like write really sloppy, just like your medical doctor does the same thing. Like you're like, I got a prescription for this scribbly thing.
Is that because they're writing in Latin though?
No, it's because they are writing.
They're writing in English.
Nobody can read it.
But I think that when I first started writing, that everything was flipping back and forth all the time, and we talked about those like dotted line.
Yep.
Sheets,
I hated those.
The big
ascender,
ones,
descender.
Yeah. And it didn't. What do you think? Have you read anything on like how it could help with writing, or do you think writing like actual on these sheets of paper is going to matter less?
Well, I mean, you think about like the history of writing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about the history of writing?
Greek?
No, like Sumerians.
Oh no.
No, the Sumerians like what, 5,000-6,000 years ago.
Sure.
So they had no language. There was no written language before then, and so they were farmers.
Yeah.
And they would trade things. They were very successful. They had fertile lands, and so like say you were growing wheat or some kind of whatever was grain.
Was the big thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart.
Yeah, pot.
And maybe
whatever.
I had goats or something.
Yeah.
And you would be like, hey, I want one of your goats, and I will trade you 3 bushels of my wheat or whatever for that. Right?
I know what you're talking about.
But it doesn't come. It's going to be 3 or 4 months from now.
Yeah.
And so how are we going to know that we came to this agreement?
We're going to put something.
Right. And so the Sumerians, what they would do is they would make little clay pieces of whatever it is.
Yes, I do know.
Do you remember?
I do know. And they would
I talked about this in multimedia.
Yes, and they would actually...
You remembered something
I do remember something in
class.
class.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And they would actually
Nobody
make physical
remembers anything I
pieces
teach.
of representation,
That's
as they
exaggeration.
should,
Right.
of representation of what they were talking about. And they could keep it.
Right.
It was almost like an early line of credit.
Yes. And so then
if we still did that, I'd be fine.
Well, here's the problem: is they got so wealthy and they were trading with so many different people.
They couldn't keep
the
track of it.
contracts were getting harder to follow.
Yeah.
And so they would put them in little clay balls, and so we would both come together, and I'd be like, "Hey, I need 3 of your bushels of, whatever grain.
Yep.
I'll give you a goat.
Yep.
In 3 months.
Yep.
Deal?
Sounds
okay.
good.
So here's a goat. You give me 3 of your wheats, and we'll put them in a little ball together, and we'll see it. Yeah, we both have it.
Yep.
And in 3 months, we'll break it. And that's how we'll know that we came to the agreement, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it worked. It was wonderful.
That's fascinating.
And it worked great. But now...
I would love to know, not to interrupt, I'd love to know the history, if you could, and there's no way to do this, of like really early time people that had this type of brain. Because I bet it didn't matter at all.
No, it
didn't matter at all.
It,
if you had this type of brain, you were
people
just freaking crushing it.
Didn't
That's all you were
matter.
doing. There was no system that had been created.
In fact, the dyslexic person probably came up with the idea of the clay
they
thing.
did. They were like, how do I do this?
Here's the thing. So now you're dealing with 3 people who do grain. Mm-hmm. Right? And then one person's like stacking it and saying, no, you said two goats or whatever, right? It's getting really confusing.
Yeah.
And so you don't know which clay ball to bring out.
Yep.
So it's like, is that Jacob's ball or is that Lucas's ball?
Yeah.
Is
Who was it?
John Jacob or Jacob?
Who was I was dealing with?
Jacob has a ball. And so you want to know you have the right ball.
When so you had to put something on it.
Right. So what they would do is before they would seal it, they would push the items onto it and then put it inside and seal it.
It's very similar to, I want to push us forward.
Exactly.
Well, they did the McDonald's cup. If you want to know what type of drink is in the McDonald's cup, they pop it. Pop it in.
Yep.
They pop it
We're
in.
still using the same.
We're still using the same type of system.
And so that was the thing for a long time. You'd have all these like a shelf of clay balls, and you're like, oh, John Jacob's coming over, not Jacob the unicorn expert.
Exactly.
So I know which one because
I've put in some
the John unicorn expert shelf over here.
Yep. But at that time they were still. Well, I was about to say something that. At that time, they were still putting like some symbol on there.
On the clay ball.
But that's really, I mean, that's just writing.
And here's the thing: there's some dyslexic.
It had to have been.
I'd bet, yeah.
But
There's a dyslexic guy was like, wait a second. Why am I putting these little pieces in a ball?
Yeah.
Why don't I just push them in a clay tablet? We
And
break
then
it
I
in
have a
half.
whole thing.
You have half. I have half.
Yep.
And then we just line them up, and we know.
And then we know that we've met the same contract.
Deal done. That had to be a dyslexic person.
And do you think that there was any way to identify any sort of neurodiversity back then?
No, absolutely not.
No way.
No.
Yeah, there's no way.
Because there was no writing.
Yep.
And so.
And that's where it's coming in.
Eventually,
That should tell you how arbitrary it is.
Some dyslexic guy was like, why the heck am I pushing these little things of corn into my clay when I can just draw it with a little reed?
Yeah. This is way easier.
Do you agree this is a corn?
Yeah.
I agree it's a corn.
You want to put some sort of note on there that says it's you?
You draw a goat. Okay, I agree that's a goat. You agree that's a goat? Okay, we got a deal.
Yep.
Shake.
And
break it in half. Done. And that's how writing came about.
It was all business.
It was visual.
Yeah.
And it was probably done by dyslexics.
It had to have been.
It has to.
And I don't.
No neurotypical person would have come up with that.
What do you think neurotypical people were doing in that time period?
It was all about like word of mouth and handshakes.
Yeah,
and, like,
they were all telling stories. They were doing.
I remember that you said 4 goats equals 5
exactly
bushels.
Right. Yep.
I don't remember.
Yep.
I need it on record.
Yep.
So I got to come up with a way so I can remember it.
Yep. Because it's not something that's going to come to me naturally.
It's all word of mouth, and neurotypical people do really well in that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful, but
that's what really built our society in the beginning.
So, and I would argue that writing is from dyslexia.
I do believe Bridget has something to say.
Oh, we don't have the Mandalorian light.
Yeah, we don't have the Mandalorian light. We'll put it in on the next one.
What's it good for if we're not using it here?
It will be.
So today, fast forward very far through time.
Wait. Can you get on camera and say that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which camera. It could be his, it could be mine. I don't care.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes, Bridget, please just put your face in my camera. Do it. No, go. Yeah, do whatever you want.
Today, there is.
You're still not in it.
Further.
Today,
Your hands.
there is dyslexic-friendly paper and notebooks.
Really?
Yes.
Have we not talked about
fact
They
or
need to sponsor
bullcrap?
us. Oh.
Does that make a difference? Lined, unlined, pastel colored versus
Oh, no,
white,
it makes no
cream
difference.
versus hard white.
They are bullcrap.
Size of the piece of paper, the notebook.
No. I'm saying no.
To
it's
me,
bullcrap.
no.
Bridget, I'm sorry. You actually were on this camera, though.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't realize that until
I think that's even
afterwards.
better.
I'm like,
I've written on large and small pieces of paper.
Yeah, it's not going to make any difference to me.
So do you think that was a neurotypical person being like, what would make
There's
my
a lot of,
dyslexic
let me tell
friend
you,
happy?
there's a lot of neurotypical people that are making neurodiverse
What about
Yeah.
decisions.
dyslexic-friendly social media pages? That's another thing. People are trying to make their Instagram page or their website dyslexic-friendly.
Or are they like coloring
Different
it?
fonts. You're supposed to
we're
use
for
certain types of
dyslexics.
fonts and different colors and things like that.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
dyslexic people are colorblind the same ratio as anyone else.
Yeah, I don't.
So
I don't think.
I don't understand that.
I don't think that they're. It. Like I said, it's a lot of it being designed by a neurotypical person, which is fine. I mean, they're trying, to be inclusive, right?
I had
That's the
someone
word.
ask me, like, hey, is there a better font for dyslexic people? And I
you're
really
like, no
thought
font.
about it.
You're like, no font's probably the
I
best.
just
You
oral.
sent it to me. That was
But
right.
then you're going to eliminate a lot of people who really need it written down.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who have. I have students. I can't remember the abbreviation, but they have to have it written down, and it has to be really clear. And I totally respect that. To me, like, you just tell me, and I'm good. You could write it down. I'm not going to read it. If I do read it, I'll follow it. Like with my daughter going to that testing, like I read it. I was very linear.
Yeah.
Because I was freaked out. I was, I was like,
You were like, I don't know
this
how
test
this would work.
It's designed to weed you out if you're not ready or not like quote unquote ready.
Yep.
Like I felt like it's
Yeah,
not
you're
really
not
ready.
typical.
Yeah, you're going to be harder to
Well,
teach.
and it brought you some.
The teacher's going to have to do
for lack of a
something
better term,
extra.
it brought you some PTSD.
Yeah,
Because you're like, I wasn't fitting into
It
whatever that
freaked
system
me
was.
out.
But your daughters do.
totally free. Yeah, and they do
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
But to know that writing came from, I think it's helpful. I would argue it came from dyslexia
Had to.
because we can't remember things. I can't remember numbers.
Yep.
So I need to have a.
But they were
codified.
still motivated and knew that these past dyslexics were motivated and knew they were smart. They knew that they had something to offer, and they knew that the system that was being presented at the time was not a system designed for them.
Right. The whole
So
oral
goes back to
oral
what we talked
memory
about before.
didn't work.
Before we record any of this, is there's nothing new under the sun.
No, there isn't.
It is the same people fighting for the same things. But why is it then that the neurotypical people have become the architects for society?
It's the British Empire, man.
Oh yeah, of course.
It all goes back to that.
R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that I guess it's just why do those powers become domineering, right? The powers that can fit into the linear mindset. Why are they like the British Empire, the Roman Empire? And I guess it's because it's systems. Do systems make more sense in the linear
It is
side?
all about that. It's like if you can't fit into our algorithm, then you need to find something else to do because we need
algorithms have to be linear.
They did very well with that, yes.
Yeah.
Because it was a giant computer, the British Empire, based on human bodies. They all had to do things the right way. You need to take someone from Australia and put them in New Zealand and put them in Canada and put them in England, and they would all operate the same way.
Well, and think about there are multiple empires, but then also just their systems, like the Roman Empire with the aqueducts, right? Like that's going to be designed by somebody. I mean, you need dyslexic help for sure, but like that idea of we need to get water to everyone, it's got to be equal, it's got to be blah blah blah. That's coming from a linear mindset,
right?
That's a great representation. I mean, not because
I don't know if I would do that with the Roman Empire. I have to think about that.
Yeah, because it's
with the British, it's very very linear mindset.
Yeah.
And it worked for a long time until the Americans came around and were like, you know what? We're going to fight asymmetric warfare. We're going to do things that you've never seen before.
We're going to do a lot of wild stuff.
We're going to do things that a neurotypical brain does not understand.
Well, and that's what made us stand out as a militaristic power, as an educational power.
We still operate that way.
Yep.
But then we still incorporate the British education system, which is really bizarre to me.
Because we've stepped aside in so many other things besides that.
We need creative problem solvers, but we weed them out, and we don't give them position of power.
Yeah.
Because
the positions of power are creating the systems.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
you see it kind of breaking down, but like we said, what's ironic is that the British are doing it first.
I know. That's what's so funny about a couple. I guess that was 4 episodes.
They're like, we got our butts kicked. Oh.
Maybe.
What if we got dyslexic people working for us? That's what I think is really crazy. Yeah. It's nuts.
But anyway, thank you guys for joining us again. I'm supposed to thank the guests.
Yeah,
and,
you should.
And I guess they're here.
They're writing. Keep
about
writing.
It. Yeah, keep writing and
keep writing.
Don't be neurotypical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's anti-neurotypical. You can't
you can't say that.
No, I mean,
I would say
I think that
I would say embrace your neurodiversity.
No, well, if you have it, because you might not have it.
If you're not, well, I hope you're an ally. I hope you're with us.
Embrace your means of learning.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Embrace your means of learning.
Embrace your.
I'll
means
go
of
with that.
learning.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good for me.
Well, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Not exactly what I meant by farewell, but okay. Tune in next time.
Thank you everyone for joining us on Dyslexics Untied. New episodes every Saturday on Spotify and YouTube. Also, catch us on TikTok.
Oh, hello there. My name is Jacob Gagel, and I am the unicorn expert on this podcast. And today's fact is very interesting. Now, did you know that unicorns are mentioned several times within the King James Bible in the Old Testament? Specifically one verse, Psalm 92:10, saying, "But my horn shalt thou exalt like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil."